Alright, Infernal Blessings. We are back with another video. Before we begin, let's run through some announcements. If you are interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, the various different readings that I offer telepathic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, deity readings to see what gods, goddesses, and demons and spirits that walk with you. The shadow work reading, as I've said many times before, is a great place to uncover the shadow and the hidden self. A great complementary reading to your shadow work. It gives you a strong sense of direction of which way you should be heading in as far as your ritual work. All right, or maybe you want a spiritual consultation. Okay. For any of the aforementioned, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. In the email, please include your full weekly availability and also the time zone that you live in, which is very important, very critical. All right, include that information, and I will get back to you as soon as I can with information on, quote unquote, on what I have available, a time that works for you, and a time that works for me. Also, if you want to sign up for classes, the way to sign up for classes, go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page located at patreon.com/Baniti, BANITI tier 3. That'll give you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, and also it gives you access to the monthly group ritual we do together at the end of the month. Okay, and when you join the Patreon, as I said, you don't just get access from the day you join moving forward to the classes. You get access to everything in the archive going 4+ years back. If you go to my Patreon page, you will see in the collection section, every class is categorized in numerical order. You'll see all the various different ongoing series. Telepathic sorcery, Luciferian magic and self-mastery, necromancy and dark witchcraft, shadow work classes. You'll see the ancient Egyptian vampiric class, Sith dark side alchemy and philosophy class, esoterical occult Bible study class, Kundalini meditation and awakening class, Eastern left-hand path occult class, Norse mythology left-hand path and rune class, and more. These are classes where new classes are constantly being added, and you can take these in order. Again, when you join the Patreon, you can attend the classes live when we have them via Zoom. They're all done through Zoom, a private invite, and you are able to interact with me in those classes and ask me questions and everybody else in the room. All right, so check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, BANITI tier 3, if you want to take that, that path to self-mastery to that next level and put in that work. And it's about doing work, folks. It's not just about sitting around reading and playing wannabe heavy. It's about putting in work. Okay? Also, check out the social media pages, Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, all one word. Primordial Chaos, 2 words, on Facebook. And I also upload all the new YouTube content to the Facebook page. And also check us out now. It's officially up and running and rocking and rolling. Check out the official TikTok Primordial Chaos page at Primordial Chaos. 2 words on TikTok. All right. And also the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. So I take all these classes, I put them in MP3 audio format. So now you can listen to the audio MP3 version of these classes and lectures and videos and good stuff and this, that, and the other. Say you're just laying around the house, hanging around. Maybe you're in the gym exercising, taking a walk. Or maybe you're in your car. So you can listen to Primordial Chaos now in MP3 audio format. Go to the podcast, support that, download, and check it out on Spotify or major podcast platforms. All right, so the direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the direct link to the social media pages, and also the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of that is in the description box of the video that you're watching now. Okay? All right. So, what I want to kind of talk about in this particular video, okay? Well, two things. One, putting in work, number one, right? And putting in a consistent body of work in order to establish your results. Now, I always talk about consistency, right? I always talk about make sure you're being consistent at what you do. And sometimes that just goes right over everybody's head or over everybody's head. Now, when you're doing work on this path, right, ask yourself several different questions. One, am I consistent at what I do? Again, are you putting in the work? Am I consistent at what I do? Am I a one and done type of ritual person? Because I have to stress again, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do a one and done ritual and get results. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But it rarely happens. There's a high percentage that you're going to have to stay at work on something. And the problem is a lot of people, when it comes to putting in work and doing rituals, they're one and done. And then they go, nothing happened. It didn't work. I did the ritual. It didn't happen. And then, as I've told you guys many times before, I go ask the person, well, what did you do? And they'll say, I did this ritual one time. I said, that's it? Yeah. Well, you didn't put in the work to manifest the results. You must put in that work to manifest results in your magic. Okay, look, people, I can't stress this enough. Look, the reading book, I got that. I run into these people over the years, they got every book on the planet. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with the books. They must be sitting on people's shelves collecting dust because they're asking questions about topics of books they claim they have, but they don't even read the contents that's in the book. Okay? I think a lot of people just collect books to say they have them. Okay? I'm not saying everybody. I know many people that have a large library and collection of books, and they read them motherfuckers. But 9 out of 10 times, if you're collecting large amounts of books, you might have read a lot of them. I would put any amount of money on it. There's probably a lot of books you haven't even cracked the surface with. Okay? If we were going to be honest and real. Yeah, I know there's the wannabe heavies. They got everything. They read everything. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt. Colonel McBragg. The whole nine. Those folks are going to exist. Not just on the left-hand path of the occult. In everything in life. The braggadocious. I know everything. That's in every facet of life. Sports. Anything competitive, anything where there's a system of growth that's gauged, etc. Okay, but not to get sidetracked. Again, putting in the work. I told where your true growth is. I'm not saying, I want to make this clear. I'm not saying, like I said before, I'm a book collector. I love books. I collect books. I'm not saying don't buy books and collect books. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is not the books that's going to get you to where you need to be or is going to evolve you into the god or the goddess that you need to be on this path. It's your ritual work that's going to do that. Your ritual work is where you're going to get majority of your spiritual growth. Your ritual work is where your change is going to come from, right? We don't just do ritual work, as I've said many times before, just for the sake of doing it. We do ritual work because it brings serious internal and external transformation in our life overall. So every time we go and do work or ritual work, we have a clear intent of why we're doing that ritual work. We're clear on why we're doing it. There's a purpose. There's an intent. With a strong purpose and intent, there's a strong focus. When your purpose and your intent isn't clear, I will put any amount of money on it. Your focus is going to be all jacked up. Okay? And sometimes when people go, you know what, Baniti, I struggle, man. It's hard for me to focus. It's hard for me, to meditate or this, that, or the other. And 9 out of 10 times, I'll ask them, I said, well, what were you meditating, well, for, not in the sense that you were asking for something, but what was your purpose or intent for meditating? Well, and it's very sketchy, and it's very, I was just trying to clear my mind, and I get that. Meditation and the breathing techniques prior to that, breath control, all of that is for that prior. But my whole point in saying that is you find there's not really a really strong purpose or intent. So when you're going into that meditation, your focus is going to be very weak if your purpose and your intent is out of whack. That's what meditation, visualization, ritual work, especially ritual work, right? Really, I don't want to negate any of them. They're all incredibly important skills on the occult left-hand path, or path of self-mastery, as I like to call it. Okay? Are you putting in the work, people? Before you start bitching, moaning, and complaining, it's not happening. Nothing's working. I don't know why. Because you thought in your silly mind you were just going to be this fly-by-night magician and get results. I don't know how many times I got to say, I don't try to promote this path like some fictional holiday, like Harry Potter, poof, wave your wand, and, it just magically happens. Okay? It's work, people. It's study. It's meditation. Sometimes fasting, exercising, right? It's perfecting yourself on the physical and the spiritual. It's studying research, ritual work, meditations, visualization technique, working with your chakras. All of these practices are tools in your arsenal to become a master. All these arts and high sciences of spirituality are your weapons. And when you know how to utilize those weapons, and they're sharp and they're strong and they're focused, this is when things start to change. This is when results start to manifest. So it's consistency in your ritual work that should filter into all other aspects of your life. Now, what comes before intent, as I've talked about before, is your approach to things in your life. And sometimes our approach, it's hard to stay, quote unquote, what somebody would call uplifted, in an uplifted state of mind, or in a positive or a personal positive state of mind. For an example, sometimes the people or we have gone through periods where you might have periods in your life, say you're working a job or a career profession or whatever it is you're doing for a living, you're just not happy with. It's something you despise. It's something you can't stand. It's something you hate. It's something you just really drag your feet when you got to do it. And let me give you an example. I'm gonna go back. I remember a few years back when I got into a real bad situation financially. This was in the early to mid 90s. Anyway, I found myself pretty much out on the street. Okay. And this was, I'm going to say this was winter of 92 or 93. I'm going to say 92. So it was early 90s. And my oldest son was just a few months old, maybe 2 to 3 months old. And me and his mom were together at that time. So, well, long story short, without getting into the particulars, a situation arrived where we basically were left with no place to live. And we were out on the street. And I was trying to leave. At that time, I was in Philly because of what I was doing and involved in at that time. So I was trying to get back to New York. I contacted my second oldest sister, and I contacted my father, to let him know the situation, that I needed to come back to New York and I needed a place to stay. So I'll never forget, after figuring it out for a few days, it was either my sister or my father wired me bus money, and I'm going back to the Greyhound days. It was like traveling on Greyhound back in the day, carrying all that luggage. You got my son's mother with me at the time. I got a newborn. Not pleasant conditions to travel. Let's just put it that way. Well, anyway, I had to find my way back, and I remember I was in such a bad situation, didn't know where my next dollar was coming from. I had to go get a job working fast food, right? And I got a job started, and this again is in alignment with my story of how you have to approach things. As much as I did not want to do that, but I also realized the severity of the situation. So I had to get in a mindset where, and this is all in alignment with the title of this video, are you putting in the work? I had to get into that serious critical mode because I realized, though I'm in a bad situation, I'm also in a good situation where I could stack money. You know, I helped my father out. So I moved back into the house. I helped him out. You know, it's the right thing to do to get money. You're staying there. But I stacked my chips. I got a job as a regular crew member at first. Then I worked my way up within a couple of months' time to being a swing manager. I don't even know if that exists anymore. And then I became an assistant manager. And then eventually that led me to other opportunities getting out of there, because what I decided to do, rather than be down about it, rather than have a fucked up mindset, rather than be negative all the time, rather than go to that job miserable all the time, which would have made that situation worse, I approached it with, like, look, I'm going to go there and be the best, do everything I can the best to the highest degree. As crazy as that may sound, it's just something clicked in me when I hit that critical mode, because reality kicked in where I said, look, this is my oldest son. It was my first child, right? I had his mom to take care of myself. It's just like in that moment, reality just hit me like, all right, you can't do no little boy shit no more. You're a grown-ass man. You got to do grown-ass man shit. And grown-ass men take responsibilities for their family. I don't care. And even if you got kids and children and you're at odds with your child's mother, it's still your duty as a man to take care of your children. Okay? I'm talking especially if it's a woman who, you know, is treating you or has treated you right, regardless if you're separated or not. And even if she's treated you a little dirty, there's ways you still need to take care of your kid. Now, I know sometimes, look, because I've been through it in the past, I know sometimes women can make it difficult, and men can too. But not to get sidetracked, I realized in that moment I had hit a critical moment in my life, right? I ain't never really been in a situation like this. Being homeless for a few days, thank God it wasn't a long time. I finally swallowed my pride, had to get back to where I needed to be, swallowed my pride and took a job I didn't want to take. But I just knew I needed to take anything that came my way just to stack some money. Okay? But everything in that moment changed, and I'll never forget it. That's when I realized it's time to get your shit together. It's time to make changes in your life. It's time to change some of the people in your life. Because I realized what got me into that situation. I was affiliating with some fucked up people I shouldn't have been affiliating with. And as I've said to you guys before, you are the company you keep. You hang around a bunch of derelicts and lowlifes, criminals, thieves, or this, that, or the other. You become the company you keep. That's essentially what that means, and it's true. You may not be that type of person at first, but you're going to get influenced by that energy if you keep placing yourself in that environment. And I did that to myself. I placed myself in an environment with very unsuccessful, low vibrational frequency type of people. And I attracted low vibrational frequency type of energy. But I realized in that moment, nah, it's got to stop. I can't do this no more. Okay? I'm wasting my life away. So it was like a serious wake-up call to me. And ever since then, I've had that put in that work mentality. Right? Eager, hungry, go hard. All of that go-getter mentality, go hard, put in work. A defining, life-changing moment in your life will do that to you. And I think a great one, something which was a serious awakening call for me was, it's not a good feeling when you're homeless and you don't know where your next dollar or your meal is coming from or your next shower. Okay? Some of you know. Look, me and millions of other people have experienced. I'm not saying what I'm saying is unique, but I'm using this as an example to show you got to put in that work. You got to be motivated. You got to have the right approach and intent to get stuff done. If you don't, nothing gets done. Results don't manifest. And they don't just puff the magic dragon appear. No, it's not how it works, people. You got to put in that work. There got to be a consistent body of work, and then things start to develop. And I know there's all the specials and the smokies. Well, not me, because, I'm so deep and heavy and connected with the spirits. I just snap my fingers and say something and everything manifests. Well, okay. And I'm not talking to you super deep people. Okay? We all are going to hit defining moments in our life that stand out more than others and clearly awaken you on various levels. Well, that as I said, that was it for me. That shit woke me the fuck up. Because what keeps me motivated now is always tapping in and remembering that feeling, what it felt like to have absolutely nothing. Okay? That hunger to have, that hunger to be the best you can be is what fuels me and keeps me motivated. Okay? So, long story short, be honest with yourself and evaluate yourself. If you're one of them people always saying nothing's working, be honest with yourself. Are you putting in that work in order for it to work? Are you a one and done? Are you a wham bam thank you ma'am, as they say back in the day? Sometimes when you're doing ritual work, multiple times or a consistent level of energy needs to be applied. And that might mean you have to do the ritual or the exercise or the working multiple times. Look, I wish it was easy as one and done. Snap your fingers, poof, everything's lovely. I really do. It's not that easy, people. It's just not that easy. Okay? So the next time a thought arises in your head and you decide to share that with everybody else, ask yourself first and foremost, are things not working because am I putting in the work? Very easy to detect. 9 out of 10 times the answer is no. Now let's say the flip side of that. I want to make sure I address the flip side, because this comes up all the time when this topic comes up. People go, well, what about somebody that is doing the work and maybe they're working on a situation, they've done the ritual multiple times? Well, then there's something to be probed deeper there. Something could be out of whack, out of alignment, could be something internal going on, it could be something psychological in your head, this, that, or the other. So yes, that can happen, because I've seen the flip side. Doesn't happen a lot, but I see people who are working with deities and spirits, okay? They're doing stuff consistently, they're connecting with deity and spirit, this, that, and the other, but nothing's happening at all. Nothing. And I tell people, that's where it's got to be probed deeper. When that starts to happen, you've done all the pre-stuff to get you to that point, that means something's not right, okay? That simple. But anyway, long story short, not to get too winded with it, again, the purpose and the objective was simple. The next time, again, when you don't see things manifested to happen or you're not getting results, ask yourself, am I putting in that body of work necessary in order to manifest that which it is I am trying to achieve or desire? All right? So take that in stride. And again, before we leave, just want to remind you, check out the Primordial Chaos podcast. It's available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. Don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos social media pages. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, Primordial Chaos 2 words on Facebook, and Primordial Chaos 2 words on TikTok. All right? Again, if you need to reach out to me for a spiritual consultation or you want to sign up for classes, the direct link to my contact email address, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes, along with all the other contact information you need in order to get at me here on Primordial Chaos is in the description box of this video that you're watching right now. All right? That's going to wrap it up for me. Infernal blessings, and we'll talk soon.